Earthquakes and tsunamis, hurricanes and floods, chronic illness, violence, and wars. Why does any of this happen? I mean, isn't there supposed to be some benevolent force in the universe that's looking out for us, that wants us to be happy? And if there is, why would he or she or it ever want to do us any harm or frighten us or make us sad? There's got to be a reason, right? If you look to religion or philosophy, or in some cases even science, there certainly seems to be a lot of evidence supporting this line of thinking. At least you would expect there to be. But most of what you'll find is not empirical evidence, meaning you can't use scientific tools to observe, measure, or experiment in any way to prove your theory. Everything happens for a reason really just breaks down to a philosophical argument, constructed on premises that feels like it leads to a logical conclusion. But whether that wisdom is based on divine manuscripts, stoic providence, or karma and retributive justice, we're all just still guessing. Which is fine, because at its root, the statement or even the belief that everything happens for a reason is nothing more than a platitude, something we say to be polite and supportive and to provide comfort. Here's where I'd like to submit my alternative. Nothing happens for a reason. If this sounds nihilistic or pessimistic in any way, I can't blame you for thinking that, especially coming from someone whose catchphrase is waking up on purpose. But after a lifetime of wondering and considering and pondering, I have to admit, I actually do believe this. Nothing happens for a reason. And I feel I have a pretty persuasive argument for why you should adopt this as your core belief system too. You might not have heard this, but there's something called a locus of control. And it has to do with where you believe the actual point of control in your life is located. Generally speaking, we're talking about a point that's either outside of your own mind or inside of it. It's a fundamental argument that has philosophers and theologians scratching their heads to this day. Is something beyond our control deciding what happens to all of us? Whether that be science or nature or the universe or God? Or is how our life unfolds entirely up to us and us alone? I say neither. I don't believe either of those causal pathways are true, and here's why. While we can't ask a gorilla or a monkey or a dolphin or an octopus how they feel about this, it's probably pretty safe to assume that they're not going to have much of an opinion. In nature, humans seem to be the only ones both gifted and damned with the ability to realize that we exist. And in my opinion, this is the heart of where the real question arises. If we know who we are, that we exist, and that we will one day cease to, then believing that everything happens for a reason can give some comfort. But I don't really think that people who claim that are actually telling the truth, not entirely, and at least not to themselves. By stating that the incurable chronic illness that you came down with happened to you because there is some purpose to you getting sick just doesn't strike me as something that anyone believes. Honestly, it sounds like you're giving up. Don't get me wrong. Being diagnosed with a chronic illness is not something to take lightly. I just don't think it merits having any kind of a reason. You get sick. That sucks. Big time. And it's okay to say this. But wouldn't you also agree that it's kind of pointless to worry about it? If you require a reason for getting sick, then you have to bring worry into the discussion. You can mask that worry all you want by saying you're just trying to make it all make sense, or that you can't follow the logic, or that there's just no way this should have ever happened to you. But isn't all that just a clever mind trick you perform on yourself to cover up the fact that you are worried? Worrying feels right. It feels responsible, that you're taking the time and the effort to fix the situation, that you have some kind of a responsibility to correct things. But this is my entire point. You don't because you can't. It has happened. And there's nothing you can do to make it unhappen. Why did it happen? Who cares? How is spending any energy at all thinking about that useful? Sure, some things can be prevented sometimes. And working diligently to examine an effect to try and determine the cause, and then seeing if there is something that we or someone or something else could have done to prevent it, has value and merit. But that still doesn't require a reason. It happened. Whether it was preventable or not doesn't change that fact. I'll say it again. It happened. You are here now, not there. You are living in a timeline where that thing happened and it can't be erased. So stop right there. It happened. Why does there have to be a reason? When you remove this need, you completely set yourself free. It's not laziness. It's not indifference. It's not cruel or inhumane. You simply remove the need for any kind of an explanation. Think of the power in that. I want you to really think about this now. Think about how powerful you become when you entirely remove the need to have a reason for why things happen. Throwing out the need to having a reason for why things happen places you firmly in the present, with your gaze fixed firmly on the future, not the past. Needing a reason is a trap that keeps your mind tumbling around in the past, wondering, imagining, guessing, wishing, hurting. Nothing in the past is alive. In fact, you can think of it this way. Whatever happened to you in the past, you survived. You're still here. Circumstances may be different. You may be different, but you survived and you're still here. There's a great quote from the movie The Shawshank Redemption that I always like to reference. It's something the main character of Andy Dufresne says to his buddy Red when Red starts to feel down. To lift his spirits, Andy looks right at him and he says, "Get busy living or get busy dying." And I think that perfectly sums all of this up. Resilience isn't the ability to return to who you were. That person is gone. It's the personal choice to become someone new, someone capable of moving forward when the old version of your life is simply no longer possible. It happened. You survived. You're still here. The dynamics of your entire life might have changed. You might have changed. But guess what? That's okay. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out and you will be fine because you have to. The past is gone and the only direction for you to travel is forward. Hey, if you're interested in working with me more about how you can learn how to move from a life that requires a reason for everything to one where you fearlessly roll with the punches and love every minute of it, then just follow the link in the description below for more details. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.